Welcome back to the Grow Your Nutrition Business podcast. At Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple, habit-based approach. We know that helping your clients become the best and healthiest versions of themselves isn't just about what they eat or coming to the gym a few hours a week. We, as gym owners and coaches, have to focus on a holistic approach, looking at support systems, stress management, sleep, mindset, lifestyle, and of course, exercise and nutrition. I'm your host, Nicole Coyne, registered dietitian and founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring. I'm also the author of The Basics of Nutrition Coaching, CrossFit Preferred Nutrition course. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to make one step at a time to becoming the best nutrition coach and building an awesome habit-based coaching program. I'm so excited to introduce today's podcast guest, Dr. Christina Migliara. She has her Ph.D. in psychology as well as her master's degree in marriage and family therapy. She has a few other certifications, but she is also the owner of CrossFit Tailwinds and a CrossFit Level 2 trainer. She has managed to combine mental health and fitness inside of her CrossFit gym and wellness facility. She is doing absolutely incredible things. Mental health is on the rise. People are struggling now more than ever. And in this podcast, we take a deep dive into why gym owners and healthcare professionals need to be talking about mental health inside of their gyms and inside of their coaching businesses. We talk about some different signs and symptoms that you might be able to pinpoint who might be struggling inside of your gym to better support them. We also talk about this buzzword, mindset. You're going to love this podcast episode. I hope you enjoy. We will get to this episode right after this message. We have some super exciting news. Healthy Steps Nutrition has partnered with Dr. Christina Migliara to release a mental health and mindset course for gym owners and coaches. So if you find all of this stuff interesting that we talk about and you want to prioritize mental health and make it a bigger part of your coaching program, either your nutrition coaching program or a bigger part of your gym, make sure you click the link in the show notes and register to be on the waitlist for this course. We have two paths for this course: individuals who want to take this course by themselves, and if you are a gym owner looking to train your entire staff on mental health and give everyone more tools in their toolbox, there is a group option as well. We're so excited to be releasing this mental health and mindset course in February of 2023. Make sure you join the waitlist so that you can be the first to get access to this awesome new course in partnership with Healthy Steps Nutrition and Dr. Christina Migliara. All right, enjoy this podcast episode. Christina, welcome back to the Grow Your Nutrition Business podcast.
Thanks for having me back.
Excited to chat with you. Man, last year we started doing a lot of stuff together talking about mental health. You are a mental health professional, but you also own a CrossFit gym, which gives you a unique lens to see how trends are happening, what things are going on, and truly how CrossFit affiliates and other boutique fitness facilities can prioritize mental health inside of their gym. So I'm excited to dive into the conversation today.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So big picture, a lot has happened over the past few years regarding mental health. I think anxiety, depression, like there's all these words that are talked about a lot more. Suicide. I mean, holy cow, like all of these things related to mental health are on the rise, but I'd love just to hear your perspective from a mental health professional, as a CrossFit affiliate owner. What are you seeing the past few years with your clients in practice, but then also in the gym?
Great question. So as we've come out of post-pandemic time, we're really starting to see those ramifications kind of play out with both clients and in the gym. So one of the things that I think is a good thing, okay, right? So good and bad is I think more people are becoming aware of the fact that they are not in the best of mental health shape that they'd like to be in. I think that the pandemic kind of exposed that for us, something that maybe we were, neglecting or just trying to push ourselves through and not really paying attention through, because we've really glorified, hustle and grinding for a long time now. And when we had an opportunity to kind of sit back, we really got to see how much that is really impacting us. So in some ways, it's exacerbated the situation and the symptoms for a lot of people. But at the same time, it's also created this awareness. So I think we are getting more and more people willing to seek out help, which is always a good thing. So that's good. But the flip side of that is now what we are seeing is there's a shortage. So mental health professionals like myself, particularly in rural areas, depending on where you are, there are not enough of the mental health professionals to serve the needs of people. And you're getting long wait lists, and these can range anywhere from weeks to months. I mean, some hospitals are on a year wait list. So that can become problematic when we don't have enough to serve the need and people are being left without care. So we see that from the client standpoint in terms of the practice, but we also, those things playing out even in the gym, because people come to the gym, they're everyday, stress. It was interesting. I just read a survey that came out just at the end of 2022 going into the new year, which talked about, they surveyed about 2,000 people. And I think 2 for every 5 people reported high levels of stress. Their stress was like, fair to poor at best. So they were not very hopeful going into 2023 that it was going to be any less stressful. If anything, it was more stressful. And that is a concern. They're not feeling very hopeful about things. They're feeling more stressed out. That said, the same group of people also reported feeling like they were going to do something about it. So that makes me excited to hear that, again, there's that awareness piece and people thinking, that they need to put things first in terms of their mental and physical health. But of course, the concern still remains, which is, do we have enough, mental health professionals as well as other types of outlets that are supportive to helping those people to get through some of those difficulties that they're facing?
And I definitely want to talk a little bit about the role that a CrossFit affiliate owner, a small boutique fitness facility has in mental health. Obviously there are scope of practice lines that we cannot cross, and we need to be able to refer to a mental health professional. But I think there is a way for us to make sure that every single person in our gym feels seen, heard, valued, right? Like, do we all have that fundamental layer inside of our gym to make sure that everyone knows that we truly do care about them, not just showing up for the gym? What would you say to a gym owner listening to this, why they should care about mental health, and why it's not like, oh, mental health, that's not associated with my gym? Like, no, it is a part of the gym. What would you say to them?
So I think that, that's part of the long held stigma that somehow mental and physical health are these separate entities. And I think the very most important thing that we have got to get over is this myth that they are separate. The truth is that they go hand in hand. And if anything, I would argue that the mind is probably more important than the body, for the sheer fact of it's the leader, right? So if the mind is right, then the body will follow. If you try to avoid those mental barriers that you're facing through just compartmentalizing or avoiding and just throwing yourself into the gym or other things in life, you're always going to be limited. Your physicality will only take you so far. However, the reverse of that, when we put mental health first, the natural progression is all those things kind of fall into place. So when we're feeling our best, then we make really good decisions about our lifestyle, our health, in terms of the physical things that we engage in, nutrition, sleep, you name it, all of those things exist. But when we are not in a good space and we aren't making really good decisions, we start to cut corners and not think things through. So I would say that it is in the best interest of gym owners for that reason, from a business standpoint, as well as really caring about your members, to understand mental health, and that it really needs to be really important and part of the conversation. They just kind of go hand in hand. So the gym itself, it's a great opportunity to showcase that in so many different ways, very creative ways of doing that. People come in all the time saying, I want to lose weight, I want to get stronger. And right there, I immediately think of, oh, that's a confidence issue. That's a self-esteem issue. There's that mental piece. Like, if I can talk with them about how they're thinking and feeling, then it's going to be a lot easier for me to get them to buy into what it is that we're doing at our gym and see the physical transformation and feel good about it. If you are constantly feeling defeated or beating yourself up or being hard on yourself, you're not going to really recognize those physical gains. Then you're going to think that the results aren't happening. And then you're going to think that where you're at isn't really working. And then you're going to leave, right? Because what we want is results. So it becomes a barrier for you to be successful in your business if you aren't thinking about mental health. And I'll even circle it back to the first thing we were talking about. Gym owners have a great opportunity to capitalize on the fact that if you can create a safe space in your gym and make it conducive to being inclusive and mentally safe, as well as physically safe, which is always the priority, safety first, but we have to think about that in a physical and a mental standpoint, then you're going to draw more people. They want to belong, they want to feel included, and people are going to gravitate to your space for that reason. They're not going to feel intimidated. They're not going to stay home. They're going to think, well, that's a place I want to be. So it becomes advantageous to make that part of the conversation, and just to be like warm and welcoming.
You've researched quite a bit about anxiety and depression post-pandemic and the increase in people that are struggling. And when we think about our gym, it's like 25% increase, right, of people that are struggling with anxiety and depression post-pandemic. So you look in your gym, there are people struggling that you might not even realize until you start paying attention.
100%. And if you don't understand what anxiety and depression look like, then it's going to be hard for you to pick up on those subtleties. So because it's in the nature of what I do, I can read a room and kind of tell who is anxious. There are behaviors that are indicative of feeling that way. And so this becomes where it's really clutch for gym owners to know and learn a little bit more about mental health and some of those things. And the thing about mental health is that sometimes when people are feeling that way, it is a little bit more subtle. So one, you need to know your members. That's where community-based fitness is such an advantage as opposed to some of these other types of fitness where you just kind of come in and go on your own. No one's going to pay attention to you. No one's going to recognize you. And no one's going to say, hey, let's sit down and talk. You're not yourself today. So I'm a huge fan, like you, of community-based fitness. I think that is the way to go for a number of reasons. And so knowing our members is a good opportunity to be able to like hone in on specific people, as well as understanding some of the mental health pieces that go along with that. So you can recognize what these behaviors and attitudes look like and intervene when you see somebody not quite feeling like themselves. Some things are not as obvious, unfortunately. People can come in and they're smiling and they're putting on a good show, but meanwhile, the thoughts are extremely intrusive and they're not feeling their best on the inside. So we have to be careful about that. There's been, recent, I think cited type of more well-known cases. In the case of Twitch, he's a good example. We've had some suicides and things like that. And a lot of people have made the comment of, oh my God, but he's so happy and he has a family and why would he do that? And he was famous and he had it all. And so what I think it shows is just an example of the fact that mental health looks so different, right? You can present in a way, but meanwhile be going through a whole lot of internal turmoil and nobody necessarily would know it. There's such a thing as what they refer to as an example called smiling depression, and I know that that's interesting, but people who put on a good show could still be going through a hard time and you wouldn't necessarily know it. So I think the more we educate ourselves, the better we are equipped to try to intervene where we can and at least be that person who says, hey, I'm here if you need anything. Just got to put that out there and knowing that people feel like they aren't alone in case they do need something.
What are some common signs and symptoms if you're looking at a room and you're reading a room for a gym owner that's listening to this and was like, maybe I don't know any of the symptoms that I might be wanting to look out for in my members? What are some things that you might tell them to look out for?
I would say major changes in behavior. So, if you have someone who's typically really outgoing and socializes after class, and then all of a sudden you see a very major change in their behavior where they're a little bit more reserved or they're leaving quickly after class, things of that nature, that's a telltale, that change in behavior, that something might be off. Sometimes we'll see people who will come into a class and maybe they stand by the door. Conversely, those same people might put themselves in the back corner. So they are kind of off to the side of the class. Those people, sometimes can be a little bit more nervous, a little bit more anxious, and they're looking for either some of that isolation feel within the community or wanting to be close to an exit in the event that they start to feel off and want to leave. That's a big sign. We'll see physiological transformations like blotchiness. People can turn red when they start to feel anxious, maybe even some physical trembling and shaking, stuttering, and having a hard time finding words. So I would say those are probably some of the classic things that you might see in terms of like visually in someone.
Perfect. That's a lot of really good ideas for gym owners. Just keep an eye out for. You talk a lot about the science and like neurologically we change during group fitness that's positive for mental health. And there's so many benefits related to mental health and group-based, community-based fitness. What are some of the things that you kind of want to highlight around the correlation between community-based fitness and mental health?
Yeah, so there's a lot that happens, when we are engaging in that. Just the brain just starts to do so much work, right? We're releasing hormones, we're producing more of that matter in our brains that are just forming connections, and all of that is creating bonding. It's creating more of those, receptors in our brain that's promoting wellness, right? It's pushing us to feel good and feel connected, which is something that's really important and part of just who we are in our genetic makeup and have been, from an evolution standpoint. So I think that there's a social piece that happens there that kind of reduces that anxiety and that depression and that feeling when you have the opportunity to be amongst a group, right? It kind of helps to combat those intrusive thoughts. So somebody who's like anxious or even has like OCD tendencies and those thoughts come in that I'm not good enough, I'm not worth anything, people don't like me. When you're able to put yourself in those situations and reality is showing you otherwise because you're actually inserted in a group and people are saying, hey, great job, or you did awesome today, or my God, you're so strong, and things of that nature, that reframing, that reinforcement of the positivity is combating all of those negative thoughts that somebody is having and showing them that, hey, what I once thought is not accurate because look, here's the proof. Somebody is telling me otherwise. And so that helps us to get better at changing the narrative in our own brains and get a little bit more confident and positive even in our own selves. So many benefits to list, but I would say those are the top ones for sure.
I love it. It brings us perfectly to the next thing I want to bring up, and such a buzzword, mindset. There are so many different mindset courses, different things about mindset going on right now. And, when you think about pillars of health, I definitely think mental health and mindset should be one of them. Nutrition, daily movement, and sleep, like those four things we need to be addressing with clients. And, you've mentioned this so many times, but we have 80,000 thoughts a day and 80% of them are negative. Like we're hanging out with jerks all day if we have such negative thoughts ourselves, right? So what would you say, like big picture, if we're talking about a nutrition coaching program in a gym, like how do you address mindset with your clients, either in a group setting and or one-on-one?
So the biggest thing I think is important is to debunk the myth that mindset is just change your thoughts, right? Hey, you should just stop thinking that way and start thinking this way. If it were that easy, don't you think we would? And that's
I would want to.
the thing I get most hung up on with some of the buzz that floats around about mindset. And by the way, side note to all this, you mentioned all this stuff about mindset. I saw a recent, statistic came out about a lot of information that floats out there, like on TikTok and some of these, very popular ways of hearing information. Everyone's got a reel or a buzz about something. And a lot of that information, 87%, I think it was over 80% of it, is misleading. So we have to be very careful, one, about where we're getting this information from, because there's a lot of people who claim to be in the business. A lot of it's life coaching or point of view, but not necessarily coming from a like licensed professional, mental health professional, or somebody who understands that. So I would never tell someone, hey, you should just change your thoughts. Like if it were that easy, I'd be either really rich or like we would all just be thriving, and it just doesn't work that way. It's usually deeper rooted than that. And so we have to break it down into a skill set. Mindset is about skills, just like a lot of things in life. And if we don't really work on developing those skills, then we're going to have deficiency, and it's going to be a lot easier for our mindset to stay, in that negative state, especially when we have those 80,000 thoughts in a day, than it is to make that shift of positivity. There needs to be, like most things that we do, consistency and practice at those skills. And then collectively, that skill set is going to then make up our ability to make the shift and create a more positive mindset. And then not only make the shift, but stay there. So moment to moment, we can shift in and out of, those positive to negative thoughts, considering the amount of negative thoughts we have in a day. So mindset is not necessarily moment to moment as much as it is about like overall, and looking at how we're thinking about things, generally speaking.
And thinking about ourselves, like so many people are so hard on themselves. And I read a book, and I know we've talked about this book before, Soundtracks, with John Acuff. I think I bring it up all the time. He actually this week, so next week or last week when this podcast is released, January 4th, he came on the Nutrition Made Simple podcast. We talked all about overcoming overthinking. And, one of the things that he talks about in his book and was super eye-opening for me is just kind of recognizing, all right, what are the thoughts that I'm thinking about myself and the situations that are coming up? Is it I'm going down a path of, oh, this happened before, I know what's going to happen again? Well, no, we don't know what's going to happen. Like, why am I worried about a certain thing? And just being aware of the thoughts that you have. And I think so many times we just go down what's consistent or what the past was, and we don't even recognize that we have these negative thoughts about ourselves or a situation that we might enter.
Yeah, so that's a skill we refer to as called mental awareness. You have to have the awareness, okay? And that requires not avoiding. So a lot of people are very stuck in autopilot, and that autopilot of the day-to-day, just kind of going through our day, does not allow us to be mindful, nor does it allow us to be intentional. So if you had to recall your day and recap it, there's probably a lot you would miss just because you have so much going on and you're so busy. You don't really, notice a lot of the things that happen. So it requires you to slow down and to be a lot more aware of what are my thoughts, what's happening in my surrounding, what's supporting, that thought, whether it be positive or negative. And that's a skill. It's a skill that we have to work on.
Absolutely. And then, once you recognize those thoughts, all right, well, how can we reframe, refocus to think what we want to believe instead? And then, going back to what you just said about consistency, like we just have to keep repeating those things to slowly start making, it's not a light switch, right? Off and on, it's dial is how he describes it in the book. But,
yeah,
I think it's so important as coaches that we recognize how mindset plays a part in our coaching program, our clients' well-being, our clients' success, and how they perceive even the class that they go in, right? Like if you have clients that struggle with mindset and like the thoughts that are going on in their head in a CrossFit workout, right? And they're just, oh, this is tough. This is terrible, versus something positive. Like, oh, I'm almost done. I'm doing great. Keep going. Like how different of an experience is that for the same person with two different thoughts that are running through our head? And we all are thinking something during a CrossFit workout or any workout, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the ongoing joke, I think, with the members when I coach a class is I'll use words purposefully because, again, it starts with us as the coaches, the owners. We have to lead by example. So the language we use is really important. If we're coming in and we're talking about a workout and we're mentioning it in a negative light and we're like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible and you guys are about to suffer, that doesn't really make them feel really good about it either. So I oftentimes say things like, this is a fun one. I'm so excited for you. And of course, I'll get the ongoing joke of, our definition of fun, coach, is not the same. And then we'll laugh about it. And so then afterwards I'll ask them, see, wasn't it fun? And they're like shaking their heads, which is, it's fine. It's all in good humor, but it's making light of things and pushing them towards reconsidering how they're thinking about it. We know in the middle of workout, nothing is ever fun, but it's okay because, we're not here to do a workout to do something that's comfortable. The growth comes from the uncomfortability of the challenge that we're putting our bodies and our minds through. And that's the very nature of why we do these workouts, is because of the push, because of the transformation that happens. And it doesn't transform us if it doesn't challenge us. It won't change us. So, I encourage people to watch their language as far as how they use it in the gym and hold people accountable for it. I mean, we do a fun thing. We have it's almost like your swear jar, but it's more of like a negative jar. So if people use negativity in the gym where they're saying something bad about themselves, we'll say, oh, you owe money in the jar, and that just gets them to stop. And what you kind of pointed out earlier, that refocus, reframe, repeat, that's something we do all the time. That's part of mindset.
I love it. There's so much that goes into mental health and mindset. And I know we have a couple really exciting things coming up. The first thing is you actually came down to our HQ location. We recorded a bunch of videos for the Healthy Steps Nutrition app so that you can be talking about mental health and mindset inside of the HSN app so that all of our clients can get some insight into this from a mental health professional. So all of those videos, we're redoing all of the programs right now. Super excited for all of our HSN mentoring clients to have access to these mental health and mindset videos inside the Healthy Steps Nutrition app. Of course, this doesn't take away from going and getting professional help and seeking out a professional, but it does just open up the eyes and that awareness piece first and foremost, and let people understand like you're not alone and understand how they're feeling, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Super excited about that.
Excited for them.
Yeah. And then the second thing, which you've been working so hard on, is we collaborated to release a mental health and mindset course. This is the first type of course that I've actually collaborated with someone outside of our company. So super excited about that. And we have two paths for this course. So what we realized when we started talking about it, and even at the live workshop, you were at our live event last year, and you had gym owners and coaches started coming up to you saying like, man, your message is so impactful, but I want my coaches to get equipped. Like, it can't just be me. Like, I need my coaches to have these tools and resources so that we can all prioritize mental health in the business together. So we have two paths for the mental health and mindset course, one for individuals and one for groups to go through this training together, which, as a gym owner, you should be thinking about professional development for your coaches to equip them with more tools so that you can provide an exceptional experience. And this would be a great way to go through a curriculum together to prioritize mental health for themselves, but then also for all the people that are walking inside of the door that you have an opportunity to impact on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big fan of continuing education. I think it's important. I do it for my professional license. And I don't think as a gym owner, if you're going to be a professional, it should be any different for you. I think we have a responsibility and a duty to, give the best experience to our members and to be the best leaders for our staff, and then to train them to be amazing leaders as well. And so again, it always starts from the top down. And so it needs to be part of the conversation. It needs to be part of the ongoing training. I know many gym owners who, do regular training with their staff. And I think that's important. And I think the gyms that are the best gyms and the most successful gyms, you see that reflected in the way that they train themselves and their staff. And this is a great opportunity to, really tap into something that the fitness industry has not done, and in a way that they haven't done it. And so I was thrilled when you asked me to do this. I will say, like, trying to take all of what I know and put it in a course to the best of my ability so that people are getting, the highlights without going into a full degree on this is been a huge mental challenge for me. But at the same time, it's been a lot of fun. I really love leaning into those types of challenges. So thank you for the opportunity. And I'm really excited to take this into, the gyms of everyone around, and help them just to become more equipped. Again, we want to maintain that scope of practice as gym owners and coaches, but I think that this is a very real and important topic. It's been a underserved topic in terms of training and availability to this industry. And with all that's going on, I think that it's actually going to help people feel so much more comfortable, because it gives you the insight to things that we as mental health professionals know, and keeps you in line with your scope as gym owners and coaches, but also gives you enough to know what to do, what to look for, and then who to collaborate with, like in the area. There's so much resource and information in there. I just feel like everyone that goes through it. I'm really excited for them. You don't know what you don't know. And when you don't know, you feel nervous about things. And so when you bring that knowledge to light, it just makes you feel so much more empowered to do something about it. And I just think it's going to bridge that gap. In this particular situation, the healthcare industry is being bridged a little bit more with the fitness industry, but the mental health community has not been bridged nearly enough, if at all, with the fitness industry. So it's exciting to be able to be a part of that and help that come to fruition a little bit more. So I'm excited for everyone.
It's going to be awesome. We're talking about your mental health hygiene framework, which has some different things than just the Healthy Steps Nutrition framework. So they work really well in parallel together. Then we're talking about prioritizing mental health for yourself and then for your clients, and different things that you can do in the gym, practical examples. Basically going through the course, giving you action items that you can start implementing right away. So this course isn't just theory, it's practical examples from someone who is a CrossFit affiliate owner, a trainer who is has their boots on the ground, who understands both sides and has a unique lens. So I'm super excited about that. We've got this online course, but then we also are hitting the road. We already hit the road last year, but this year, we've got 3 events coming up on the books. March 25th, we have the Healthy Steps Nutrition Regional event for gym owners and coaches here in our Deerfield Beach location down in South Florida, which is going to be really fun, a 1-day event. You can grab your ticket for that 1-day event in the show notes. We've got our annual event that is going to be 2.5 days instead of 1.5 days. You guys, you're going to be doing a bit of some breakouts and some more chatting with gym owners, talking about mental health and prioritizing mental health inside of your gym. That event is in Nashville, Tennessee, July 13th to the 15th. And then we're headed to Scottsdale for Tim Lyons' event, the Fit Pro Growth Summit. It's a handful. We are hosting the pre-con to that event. June 8th, 9th, and 10th is his event. So all of those events will be linked in the show notes. Super excited about that. So if you are looking to connect with us in person, learn more about this, definitely attend one of those events, or all of them if you'd like to, but definitely get on the wait list. The mental health course will be released in February. We'll have a release date for that soon. Super excited to get all of this information in the hands of gym owners and coaches so that we can all make a greater impact and support our clients to become the best version of themselves physically and also mentally.
100%.
Cool. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast again.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that episode with Dr. Christina Migliara. Here's what I've realized over the years. If we aren't talking about mindset and mental health with our clients, we are missing the mark. If our mind is not right, if we don't believe in ourselves, if we don't have a positive mindset in entering in different situations, it is going to be tough for us to be able to persevere and keep going. And when going gets tough, to continue to believe in ourselves that we can do things. Well, I have an awesome announcement. We actually did a podcast interview on the sister podcast to this one, Nutrition Made Simple, with John Acuff. He is an 8 times New York Best Times selling author, most recently with Soundtracks and Your New Playlist, a book about how to overcome overthinking. He is an incredible person. He is a CrossFit fanatic. Go over and head over to Nutrition Made Simple, episode number 78. We talk about goal setting, how to create a winning mindset, and how to overcome overthinking. I know you will love this podcast episode, and it is also a great one to share with your clients. All right, again, we are releasing this mental health and mindset course in February of 2023. Make sure you click the link in the show notes to get on the waitlist if you are interested in taking this course and being the first one to access all of this awesome information. We're so excited to partner with Dr. Christina Migliara on this project. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review so you don't miss another episode again. We will see you back here next week.